So a few days ago, a thought popped into my head. What is the best transformation in Dragon Ball? And I don't mean subjectively, not something that's opinionated. No, I'm talking from an objective standpoint. Something that's practical, something that's accessible, and of course, something that's powerful. Like I said, this is not an opinion piece. This video will be mostly based on factual evidence and objective examples. So before you go into the comments to disagree or argue, hear me out. It's not me being a Gohan fanboy, it's actually something that I've been thinking about for a while. Because personally, my view stands that Ultimate is possibly the best form to have. I mean, it is called Ultimate for a reason. But why is that and what makes the form so good? Well, first, we need to actually discuss what Ultimate is and explain it some more. By using Elder Kai's Unlock ability, users are able to access this new state of being, referred to as Ultimate, or in other cases, Potential Unleashed. Or unofficially by fans, some refer to it as Mystic. You all probably know it by one of those names, but whatever name you know it by, we all know one signature user of the form, that being Gohan. And the reason he's the signature user of this form is because he's the only person that has it. Well, at least in canon. Of course there's Zeno Goten, and then there's some other side stuff that has Ultimate be used. Mainly in video games, but when talking about canonical stuff, he is the only person that has access to it. In terms of what the form does, well, there's not really too much outside sources for it. Really, the best thing to go off of is the original manga. Because outside of this, and outside what we're shown in the anime, the series has never really gone too much in depth about it. Fundamentally what it is what it sounds like. It's referred to as Potential Unleashed for a reason. As Elder Kai himself puts it, it draws out all of the user's latent potential. In a way, it is kind of similar to what Guru did on Namek. But it's more different than you might think. See, the way Guru unlocks potential, it's more of a one-time thing. Guru manually has to draw out the user's potential. And it's not something that grows with the user. However much potential the user had at that time is how much Guru drew out. While Ultimate's kind of a growing thing. It's not a one-time boost, it sticks with the user as long as they train to keep up with it. So, for example, as Gohan grows as a fighter, the Ultimate form grows with him. The two work off each other. Gohan training means his potential grows higher, and because his potential grows higher, the Ultimate form draws out more of that latent potential. I think a good analogy is a fire. Think of the fire as a user's hidden potential. It's there and it's active. But this isn't the full extent of its power. If you add fuel to it, fuel being the Ultimate form, it increases the size and intensity of the fire. And that leads me to my next point. Why is this form so good? Well, it's simply as I put it before, it draws out every bit of the user's potential without the strain of a normal transformation. See, with all the other transformations, there's at least some sort of drawback. Unless you completely master a form, like what was done with Super Saiyan in the Cell Saga, there's usually going to be some sort of drawback with it. Let's look at Super Saiyan Blue for example. The form is incredibly powerful, yes. It's not flawless. Goku and Vegeta just can't infinitely stay in Super Saiyan Blue as long as they want. It'll be very draining on them. Or even something like Perfected Super Saiyan Blue, which exists in the manga. Yes, over time they've gotten more control over it, but the fact of the matter is they still have to regulate how much power they're using and keeping their aura inside of them. Certain forms either have issues with stamina or having to consciously maintain it. But with Ultimate, there's none of that. It's basically used as effortlessly as your base form, which I'll get more into later on in the video. So it's a form that constantly evolves itself, growing stronger the more the user uses it. And it's one that isn't taxing on the user to use. And as another plus, pretty much anyone can use it. It's not limited to just Saiyans. The form has it all. It's practical, it's powerful, and it's accessible. So how does it compare to others? Well, the thing is, this is a little bit tricky, which is why the answer is a little bit more complicated than it may seem. As you could probably guess, it really depends on the user. Sure, anyone can access it, but not everyone will get the same amount of benefit from it. Just for the sake of simplicity, let's create an example here. Let's say we have 3 people, a human, a Saiyan, and a hybrid Saiyan, and let's say they all start at the same base power, with the 2 of those Saiyans both having Super Saiyan 2 as their highest form. And now, Elder Kai grants them with the Ultimate form. He does the ritual, and they have access to it now. So of course the human gets a lot stronger and sees a lot of benefits from it. But even though their base power is the same as the Saiyans with them, they're not going to be getting the same boost from it. Let's move over to the Saiyan. The Saiyan does see more benefit than the human. Even though their base powers are the same, Ultimate draws out all of their potential. So, by having Super Saiyan 2, that Saiyan's potential is inherently much stronger than their base form. We saw this with Gohan. He had Super Saiyan 2, but Ultimate even surpassed that. Having access to a transformation does count as potential, because you have the potential to be stronger by actually turning into that form. It's a little bit hard to explain, but at any point in time, that Saiyan can increase their strength by 100 times by transforming into Super Saiyan 2, which counts as potential. Saiyans naturally have more potential to grow than humans, so the Saiyan would not only see benefits from Super Saiyan 2, but their race's physiological potential as well. Despite their power and base being the exact same as the humans, their ultimate form will be much, much stronger. But now let's move on to the Hybrid Saiyan. It's the same thing as the Saiyan. They have access to Super Saiyan 2, and as a Saiyan, they do have all those benefits of potential. But as we know with Hybrid Saiyans, stated multiple times throughout the series, Hybrid Saiyans have some pretty crazy potential, pretty much incomparable to anyone else. I mean, we've seen this with multiple characters: Gohan, Goten, Trunks. Even Pan in Dragon Ball Super, who, as a baby, has access to flight already, and Bull is probably going to turn out the same way. So, when the Hybrid Saiyan from this example gets the form, they not only see more benefit than the human, but also the Saiyan. And this is exactly the reason why Gohan got so strong in the Buu saga. Despite him having slacked off for 7 years, and even getting somewhat weaker than he was during the Cell games, Gohan was then able to become the strongest unfused character just from Ultimate. That's how massive his potential was, even without training. And as I mentioned, if he did train, that potential would be even higher. Training would have increased Gohan's strength, and inherently it would also increase his potential. The two work in tandem. As the person grows stronger, their potential to grow even stronger than that gets bigger too. It's a great example of the snowball effect. So, despite all starting at the same power in their base, the circumstances for each of these fighters affects how the form influences their power. Regardless of who has the form, anyone can benefit from it. It's just that some people benefit more than others. Okay, here's another question. Why doesn't everyone have it then? Wouldn't that be the simplest solution? Just give everyone the ultimate form so they're incredibly strong? Well, there's a few reasons I think why the series hasn't done it yet. For one, as an out-of-universe reason, it's probably due to balancing characters so they're not broken, and not to mention, the form isn't necessarily the most interesting in terms of obtaining it. Now think about it for a second. Imagine one day all the fighters decided, hey, I want to get my potential unlocked too. Would that really be an interesting plot point? I mean, we'd watch everyone sitting around for a day getting stronger, and it wouldn't really feel earned. Think about how you watch Goku go Super Saiyan for the first time. It's a form of legend. Goku went through so much in his life, and he had a specific event that triggered this form to come out. There's a reason it's such an iconic scene in anime history. Now compare that to something like Ultimate. What do you remember most from Ultimate? Was it Gohan going through the ritual and doing basically nothing the whole time? Or was it Gohan arriving back on Earth, ready to save the day and test out his new power, despite him jobbing later on? But jokes aside, you see what I mean? It wouldn't really be too interesting to watch. Or in terms of balance. And another reason being, this keeps Gohan unique. If everyone has it, it loses that sense of uniqueness. So many characters in the series have their own unique things about them. For example, Goku has Kaioken. Piccolo, while not the only Namekian in the series, he is the only Namekian part of the main cast. The androids, infinite energy. If everyone had access to it, it would lose that sense of uniqueness. The same exact thing could be said for Super Saiyan Blue or God. Gohan, Goten, or Trunks could easily get these forms if they wanted. All they'd have to do is train a bit, or just get the ritual done on them. There's more than enough Saiyans now. Like if they wanted to give Goten an easy power-up, just have him go into the ritual. I mean, sure, Super Saiyan has been given to a lot of people, but that's kind of a different case because Super Saiyan is basically what other forms build off of. And not everyone even relies on it anymore, they have something far above that usually. But do you get what I mean? It has reasons in-universe and out-of-universe for why no one has it now. Besides Gohan, of course. And why specifically is it so good for Gohan? Well, as explained, his natural potential as a hybrid Saiyan brings out all this power. We've seen this time and time again with Gohan. At age 5, he surpassed most of the other fighters around him. At age 9, or 10 or 11 if you subscribe to those ideas, Gohan even surpassed Goku and Vegeta, just with a year of training in the Room of Spirit and Time, and he didn't even have Super Saiyan before they did, he got it after the fact. We know he has some crazy potential, and that's why the form works so great with him, and we saw more of this in Super. With just a year of training, yes, Gohan didn't just train for 2 days with Piccolo, Gohan was able to get massively stronger, fighting on par with Super Saiyan Blue Goku, and now being one of the strongest on Earth, only behind Goku and Vegeta in terms of power. Now I've seen people kind of refer to this as kind of an ass pull, and yeah, the form wasn't really earned for Gohan, I agree to that. It's like I said before, it wasn't that interesting to see him get the form, more so using it. But the thing is now, the way it's treated in Super, the user has to actually train to keep up with it. Otherwise, they lose access. And even with that 1 year of training from Resurrection F to the Tournament of Power, I feel it makes sense that Gohan got as strong as he did here. That is how the form works after all. Not to mention, in the manga, Krillin even says that if Gohan kept training, he'd surpass Goku even. It's a combination of his crazy potential as a hybrid Saiyan, and the access to the ultimate form. This is what I touched upon in my example beforehand. It's so good for Gohan due to his circumstances. And I'm sure if someone like Trunks got the form, he'd see pretty much a similar increase. And that's why the form is such a great fit for him. Not only is it unique, but it works better for him than it would for pretty much anyone else. Gohan himself even thinks this is better, preferring to evolve with Ultimate rather than Super Saiyan forms. And the thing is, Gohan knows just how strong Super Saiyan God and Blue are. I mean, he's experienced it firsthand. But even with the knowledge of the power of those forms, and the fact that he could access them pretty much effortlessly if he wanted to, he still decides to evolve with Ultimate instead. flat out saying that he prefers this route. And from what he showed us, it's a pretty effective route at that. Okay, so is it the best form? Well, now we get into semantics kind of a bit. Is it really even considered a form, or is it just a state of being? And this is the tricky part. As I said in the beginning of the video, there's not too much to draw from in terms of information. Gohan's the only one with access to it, and the only person who really knows more about it is either him or Elder Kai, and neither have really revealed much. If I were explaining something like Super Saiyan forms or races like Namekians, I'd be drawing from a bunch of different sources, not just the manga and anime, but also whatever interviews Toriyama did about them, whatever guidebooks can say about these things. But with Ultimate, there simply isn't that luxury. The big meat of the info is all within the series itself, no outside sources. And it's a little bit contradictory at points. In Z, it seemed more so like it was a state of being. Gohan quote-unquote powers up into it, and then stays at that form for the rest of the series. But then what we see later on in GT and Super, it's treated very differently. In GT, it's pretty much absent. Gohan seems to have lost it, and that doesn't really give us too much info. But what does give us a lot of info is actually from Super, which treats it more as a transformation. As we all know, Gohan hadn't been training and he ended up losing access to Ultimate, even almost losing access to Super Saiyan. In the Dragon Ball Super anime, it's treated more so as a transformation. He needs to work to unlock it again, and once he does, it's something that he can turn on and off. You can tell by his eyes and his hair. When he's in base, his eyes are more like Goku's in base, where they're rounded. And his hairline's all screwed up because he doesn't have the bang there. And while it's a small change, when he transforms, there is something noticeable. His eyes get more rigid, pretty much like those of a Super Saiyan. The bang returns to his hair. And at times, we'll see the white aura around him. In the manga for Super, it's treated a bit differently. It's more so a state of being there. Because in the Super manga, we don't see Gohan transform into it at all. He does fight a bunch in the Tournament of Power and the Moro arc, and he clearly has been training and still has access to it, but he doesn't seem to transform at all. I mean, we do see changes in his eyes from time to time, but that could just be an artistic choice. It seems like no matter what, he permanently has it activated, so why am I even bringing up all these semantics anyways? Well, the point of the video is to say that Ultimate is the best form, but if Ultimate is not even considered a form, we can't say it's the best one. It would be like trying to say Kaioken is the best form. That wouldn't make sense because Kaioken isn't a form, it's just a technique. Or there's also something like Ultra Instinct, which dances on the line of transformation and technique. For people like Angels and people like Beerus in the manga, it is treated as a technique, but then obviously there's Goku. And recently in the manga, it's treated more like Super Saiyan Black. Pretty much a transformation for Goku that he could power up into whenever. But I digress, that's a topic for another time. I'm only bringing that up because other people may bring that up saying that that's the best form. Or something like Super Saiyan Blue, which as I discussed before, does have its own drawbacks. The point of all this semantics and all the explanation in this video is for me to show my opinion that Ultimate may be the best form in Dragon Ball. The way it works and operates is just something that other forms don't compare to. Sure, in terms of looks it doesn't change much, but that's more so a subjective thing. And in terms of how it's earned, it's more so on the ass pull side. But thinking it's bad because of that is a subjective thing. Simply put, in terms of practicality and power, I feel pretty confident in saying that it is the best form. In theory, of course. If someone like Goku or Vegeta would get access to this form, they'd see an incredible increase in strength, without the drawbacks of whatever their strongest transformation at that point was. But again, a lot of this is theoretical. We haven't seen too much about it, and the only person we've seen use it is Gohan. So don't take my word as word of God because Toriyama can come along with a pen one day and say that Ultimate is not even a form, and he can completely just negate my video by saying, hey look, it has all these other drawbacks. Like the entire time Gohan's been using it, he shortened his lifespan by 50 years. But jokes aside, it is all theory. It's just my personal opinion that this form is the best, due to this objective evidence that I have given. But I want to know what you guys think. It is a discussion video after all, so let's start discussing. Do you think Ultimate is the best form? If not, why? And if so, also why? Do you agree with my points? Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to see what all you guys think. As usual, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as clicking the bell icon to get notified about any future videos that I upload, including more videos like this one. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.